Hey, I'm Nicole, and thank you so much for joining me today. We are back with I'm calling it a crochet along. It's not like the traditional type of crochet along that we normally think of, but basically, I'm sharing a pattern that I'm working on, and if you'd like to crochet along with me, that's awesome. If you're just along for the ride, then that works too. So the pattern that we are working on is called the Orange Blossom Tank Top. Although tank top, when I think of a tank top, I think of something that's sleeveless. And actually, this can be a sleeveless, but I'm actually gonna, well, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I haven't gotten that far. But I will link in the comments below the previous couple of episodes that I've worked on this to get to this point. I have not worked on this at all without recording the video. So everything that I do on this, you get to see my progress, you get to see where I get stuck, you get to see all of that good stuff. And I have a conversation with you along the way. So we are at the point where I am starting the armhole. And it's actually been a little bit since I've worked on this. So several weeks. So we've done the tank top bodice. We're working on the back. And the armhole, the first part of the instructions. Oh, I got to remember what size I was working on. You know, it is really a good idea to notate the size that you were doing, especially if you're kind of like me and sometimes sometimes you do a medium size, sometimes you do a large size. If that tends to change, then it's a good idea to notate on your pattern what size that you're working on. For example, this, I got to go back and look and see what the sizing is on it. Maybe a large, and maybe 30, 40, 50, 60. Okay, yeah, I think I've got about 84 stitches in here. We'll have to see what happens with that. Hopefully it's not a big deal. Okay, slip stitch across 6. Single stitches and then chain 1. Okay. It always feels weird to me to slip stitch like that. We'll see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, chain 1, and then single stitch in the same single crochet in the same single crochet, and in each single crochet to the last 5, leaving remaining single crochet unworked. Okay, so basically we're now going to do single crochets all the way across except for the last 5 or 6. Oh yeah, I had to do 6. I think I did 5. I do not have the easiest time reading patterns. Once I understand the designer, I can usually figure it out. But I do struggle at the beginning of patterns, trying to decipher what it is that they're talking about. Then I get to that point where I'm like, oh, well, that was obvious. So I don't know, do you kind of have that same challenge? Or, if you're a newbie reading patterns, is it like, that's 3, hold on, I got to count here. 4. Oh, these are supposed to be single slip stitches, not single crochets. See, sometimes it's not a good idea to work on a pattern and talk at the same time. So,
walking, chewing gum.
Let me do this and then I will try and remember what it was I was talking about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now I can single crochet across. So what I was saying is I struggle when I first start to read a pattern, first try to understand the language. It's almost like they're using a different dialect. In Arizona, we don't have much of a dialect. Our English is pretty clean from what I understand. We don't have a lot of accent, and maybe that's because we're a very blended uh, area. So we don't, kind of all waters down overall. But if somebody from Arizona goes back to the Midwest and all of a sudden Midwesterners are using, they'll say, instead of saying creek, they say crick. I'm from Ohio. I can say that, and I do still sometimes say crick. Or if they are trying to say you're going to go wash the dishes, wash, not wash. But it's just a slightly different dialect. So if it's going really fast, somebody from a different area may be like, wait, what? Slow down. What were you trying to say there? I don't understand. Even though they're using English, it's a different dialect of English. I think that's what it's like to read a crochet pattern from a new designer. It's all the same as far as single crochets and, when you're supposed to do repeats and all that kind of stuff. But they're just slightly different. They have their own little set of nuances, their own little dialect, so to speak. And it takes a little bit of getting used to it for me, when I first start reading a new pattern designer. So that's kind of where I wanted to try this, to crochet and share with you all as I get started on this. And I'm sure that as I go, I'll it'll get more clear. The other thing I notice is that when I'm not in a clear state of mind, I've probably said this several times on here. I have undiagnosed ADHD. I really firmly believe I have a degree in psychology. I know enough about various mental health challenges. I really firmly believe that I have undiagnosed ADHD. I don't think that I'm severe by any means, but I do think that I have enough of the typical neurodivergent characteristics that if I went to get tested, I would probably qualify as ADHD. And one of those is a challenge focusing. So there will be certain times where I look at a new crochet pattern that is not something that I've done before, and it's in English, as I was saying, maybe with a different dialect, but all of a sudden it feels like it is an entirely different language. And I can read that pattern 4, 5, 6, 7 times and not have a clue what it is that the designer is trying to tell me. And then I come back to it at another time when I have an easier time focusing, and I'm like, oh, well, duh, that's what she meant. It's so obvious. So sometimes I will have to just take a pause and put a pattern down, and work on something that I already know how to work on, that I already know what the pattern is. And while I generally like to work on things that are not super, super repetitive, I like to work on something that, every few rows or so, I'm going to have to like look at, okay, what do I have to do now? Sometimes there are those times where it's just like, just give me something I already know how to do. That way I don't have to think. I don't have to try and figure things out. But I'm generally the kind of person that gets bored with repetition. I don't know that I could do, I don't know that I could, sell products on a major sort of level of any sort. Like, I've sold a few fedoras and that was fine, but then I started getting bored with them. So if I actually had a website listing out things that I was going to make to sell, I think it would become a chore and I would get bored with it. And when I get bored with something, I tend to resent it. Again, I think that's a lot of the ADHD. There's a great meme that is a little cartoon, and it's something like, I love repetition until I need spontaneity, and then I love spontaneity until I need repetition, and it just kind of keeps going back and forth. And that's totally me. I'm like, I need a routine. That's what it is, not repetition. Routine until I want to be spontaneous, and then I love spontaneity until I need to have that routine again. That's a lot of what the RV trips are great for, because I get into this routine when I'm at home, and the days just sort of keep passing by so fast that it's like, what's this all about? And then I go on this RV trip, and there's nothing routine about the RV trips. So then all of a sudden it's all about being spontaneous. And after 10 weeks, I was ready to have my routine back. I was ready to get home and know exactly what I was going to be doing and when I was going to be doing it and how I was going to be doing it, and have some consistency. So there's definitely some of that. All right, let me count here. One, I need to figure out how many 6 is so that I don't stop. So I stop at the right point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I'm gonna put a stitch marker in there, which is in here, I think. Ha ha! I'll go with orange because it matches. It matches, but it doesn't blend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Doesn't disappear. So, yep. Finish up these. And then it says to turn. All right. Now I am going to mark this row as done. Turn. And then we are going to chain 1. And then SK first single crochet. SK. What is SK? Skip. Oh, skip, that's what it means. Ha! See, we're learning a new language here. Skip the first single crochet, and then single crochet in each remaining single crochet until last 2 single crochets. All right. So that's the first one. So I'm not sure if she's considering the slip stitches single crochets, but I would not think so. So I'm going to mark those as well so that I can know where to stop. I'm going to mark the last 2 single crochets. And then we can keep going without paying a lot of attention. See, if it's marked, I can do it without thinking. If it's not marked, I have to pay a lot more attention. I have to tell you, while the last part of the RV trip, I did very little crocheting. I did a decent amount early on, and then I don't know what it is, but the last probably 3 or 4 weeks of the RV trip, I just didn't get much in. I don't know if it was because by the time we got back to the rig, I was too tired to really think about it. I think part of it was, again, I didn't have a project that was kind of mindless that I could just, plug away at. Like I had this project that I was working on, and beyond that, I would have to start on a new one. So I was either I needed to record something, or I needed to figure out what pattern I wanted to start and actually go through this process of learning it all over again. And I just wasn't quite in that state of mind where I wanted to start something new. I really wanted to have something that I could just do mindlessly and repetitively. But it wasn't the popcorn. If you've seen, I did a lot of popcorn on the road, not nearly as much as I should have, but I don't know. I just don't enjoy doing the popcorn. I can't wait to have the popcorn garland on my Christmas tree this year, but I don't know that I'll have nearly enough of it, and that's okay. Maybe I'll just make it part of that tradition that I add another foot each year or something, something that's a little bit more manageable, so I don't have to feel overwhelmed with the idea of crocheting 10 feet of popcorn garland all at once, because that's quite a lot. What is the most optimistic thing that you've crocheted? Is it like a mosaic or a big temperature blanket? I'd love to know what your most optimistic project that you've completed, not that you started, because I'm sure they're easy to start. They're not as easy to complete. So I think so far the most optimistic that I've completed was the American cardigan, the American Patriot cardigan. Yeah, I'm sure if you've been watching for a little while, you've seen it. I talked about it ad nauseum, and because I was really proud of it, and I really do enjoy it. Unfortunately, I didn't get to wear it on the RV trip as much as I would have liked because there was nowhere where it was cold. But I did wear it a couple of times, and it was fun, and I love it, and I can't wait to wear this. As the weather starts to cool down this fall, we'll see if I get to wear it a little bit more often then. So it looks like last two, skip the next single stitch, and then single crochet into the last single crochet, and then turn. So while it has us coming to 2 remaining, basically we're skipping the one that is pinned, and then single crocheting into the next one. Whoops, I didn't grab both. There we go. And then turning. All right. And then what it says is that we need to repeat that until we have 9 rows. Okay. So let's work on that. And I am, instead of having, a stitch counter out or something like that, I'm just going to get a piece of paper and do hash. Hashy hash. You know, the little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's a hash mark. So I've done 2 rows. We'll have to get to 9 rows. So chain 1, skip the first single crochet, and then single crochet all the way across until we get to the second to the last. Skip that one. All right, keep going. I'm wondering if once I get down to past the midsection area of this, it starts to go faster, because using these single crochets all the way takes a lot longer, I think, than I think it's a shell stitch once we get down further. And I think that'll go a lot faster. But the nice thing about this is I should not, hopefully fingers crossed, need to wear a tank top underneath it, like the tulip tank that I made, which would have required me to wear a tank top under it. One of the sweaters that I made requires a tank top under it. This should not require anything, I mean, other than, yes, I do wear a bra. And I think it should be fine with just a bra. Although now, the more I look at this truffle color, my skin right now is about as dark as it has a tendency to get, because I've been out on the road. But it's going to fade very fast, as tends to happen with me. I get dark fast and then I fade fast. That's just the nature of my skin. And I'm wondering if this is really the best color for me. For my hair color, for my complexion, probably not. It was pretty when I bought it, and I wasn't really thinking about what colors complement me. So let's see. I guess I can always wear it underneath a jacket or something like that that brings out more of that color. I tend to do better with darker, like blacks and dark blues and dark purples, as opposed to the lighter colors that kind of wash me out a little bit.
That color jacket is not good on you.
Yep.
All right, and then we turn, do hash mark, chain 1, skip. So I think what this is attempting to do is give a little bit of a diagonal. I was watching a few crochet video channels recently, and some of them were like, everything I crocheted in a week. And I'm like, yeah, that's not me. I'm not going to be the kind of person that, one, I'm not fast. I'm not a fast crocheter. And two, I don't have the inclination. I don't have the time to spend more than 2 hours max crocheting each day. After that, my hands start to hurt. So I'm never going to be the kind of person that is going to bang out like all of these different things. I mean, in a week, I might make some progress on a garment and maybe finish up something that is a smaller project. But I'm definitely not going to be making any large quantity of items. So if you're looking for those, all of the things that I crocheted in a week kind of videos, yeah, that's not where you're going to find them here. That's okay, because this is supposed to be something that's enjoyable. So I'm going to let myself off the hook, and I'm not competing. I'm not competing with them for what they do. I give them kudos for being able to do that. See, even going this pace, my hand's starting to cramp up. And I think I am pushing myself to go a little faster than I normally would. Normally, if I'm sitting in front of the TV crocheting, it's more of a casual pace. And I think as I'm doing this on video, I'm feeling like I need to rush it. So I'm going to slow down. I'm going to slow down. Just take it as a Sunday stroll.
You gotta let yourself off the hook.
I can always speed up the video if you're getting bored. Did you know you can actually speed up videos on YouTube? I think that is fabulous, because there are times where I want to consume the content, but the pace of the speaker, or for whatever reason, it's just going too slow for me. And so there's a little gear, and I'm sure it varies whether you're on a desktop or on your phone or on a TV, but there's a little gear somewhere. And if you click on that gear, it gives you the option to change the speed of the video. The good news is, if you are doing crochet video tutorials where you're actually trying to follow along, you can slow them down as well. And that's a neat little hack for watching videos and trying to learn something, whether it's a new stitch or an actual pattern from a YouTube video. You can slow that down. Skip that one. So as you can see, hopefully we've got a little angle going there. And we should have a little angle going there. And I think that's starting to kind of form the armpit area, the armhole. We're at 4, and we are going for 9. 9 rows of those. So what I'm going to do is I am going to finish up those 9 rows, which means I've got 5 more rows to do. I'm going to do that, and then we will come back and we'll do the next row of the armpit hole, and we'll continue from there. So I hope you join me next week as we continue the pattern and have a little bit more of a conversation, and we'll make some more progress. Thanks so much.